Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. Indiana's maternal mortality rate is twice the national average. Experts say one of the reasons behind it and the state's high infant mortality rate is a lack of access to care providers. It's a problem statewide, but as Brock Turner reports, it's especially felt in rural areas.
This time, Deidre Firestone says she's blessed with a normal pregnancy.
He was just doing his little water yoga is what I say, and he is a very, very active baby.
But last year, she wasn't so lucky.
My OB at that time basically told me the pregnancy was not going to be a sustainable pregnancy and that it was basically just going to abort itself and we had to go home and wait for that to happen.
Firestone was faced with a situation no mother wants. Her baby boy's chances were slim, but she wasn't willing to just give up on him. Her fight would require specialized care that wasn't available near her home in Lyons, Indiana.
My only options were Bloomington, Indy, and Evansville, and all of those are at least an hour away, if not longer, from my house.
Firestone called on her network of friends and found Dr. Mary Abernathy in Bloomington, which is over an hour away from her home. Abernathy supported Deidre and tried to help her through her pregnancy, but Deidre lost her baby. There's a tree in her front yard that she and her husband planted to remember Cohen, and a shadow box hanging in their living room.
So I feel like this time I'm going through pregnancy for the first time all over again. Last time there was just so many things that were different that I didn't get that I do now, just because our pregnancy wasn't your typical pregnancy.
There is one similarity, however. Firestone is still making the trip to Bloomington for all of her prenatal visits.
We have seen women from Evansville, which is, I think, roughly 2 hours away from us. We've seen women from Terre Haute. We've seen some women from the Seymour area and even from Madison, Indiana. So having this office here in Bloomington has helped them because they don't have to go all the way up to Indianapolis.
Indiana State Health Commissioner Dr. Christina Box says many Indiana counties are ill-equipped to care for the needs of pregnant women, especially those who are considered high risk.
In a lot of those counties, we don't have a family doctor or an obstetrician gynecologist that even does obstetrical care. Rural areas are losing their hospital obstetrical services. This is a common thing, and Indiana is one of those. We now have 87 delivering hospitals across our state with 31 counties that either have no hospital or their hospital does not have obstetrical services.
Box says women in need of emergency care can still go there, but the hospitals will likely not be able to adequately care for mothers and their new or unborn children.
So really, if the opportunity avails itself, they need to go to the nearest hospital that does do obstetrical services, which again, for some women may be as far as an hour and a half. And that can be too long sometimes when it comes to obstetrical care.
Abernathy and doctors across the state believe there's a clear connection between soaring maternal mortality rates and one of the nation's highest infant mortality rates.
They share the same risk factors. And there's a lot of interest and focus on decreasing our maternal mortality. And by doing that, you're probably going to have some shared kind of crossover with the infant mortality.
That's why rural health advocates are doing what they can to address a problem they believe is systemic in Indiana and the nation. OB navigators are one resource officials believe can begin to turn the tide. The concept is simple. Navigators are often non-doctors who help guide women through the pregnancy and stick around until the baby's first birthday.
The OB navigator will be the person that delivers that education, because oftentimes the mom will come into the doctor's office and the doctor do a quick exam, the nurse before, the medical assistant before has done blood pressure and weight check, and do you have any questions? And usually you're so overwhelmed when you're in those situations that you can't think of your questions. But the OB navigator is going to be having weekly or bi-weekly contact with the woman.
While strategically placing OB navigators with women throughout the state might begin to chip away at a high infant and maternal mortality rates, it does little to help with access, and it's that drive that causes Deidre the most stress.
It terrifies me, like what if something goes wrong? I would have to at least wait an hour or longer, depending on traffic, depending on what time of the day it is, to get to my specialist if I felt anything was wrong. I mean, I could go to, my local hospital, but I have that relationship with my specialist to where I only want to go to her.
Firestone's thankful she found a doctor who is so in tune with her needs, but she can't help but wonder how her care might be different if she lived in another zip code.
Definitely be appreciative of it, because us in rural Indiana, We don't have those access and the avenues to get to those kind of doctors, and it's just something that you don't appreciate until you need it.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Brock Turner.